From literally finishing 15th in the Premier League, their worst season in over 50 years.
So much. The nightmare is finally over. We don't have to witness United play football in the Premier League, competitive football, for 3 months at least. The nightmare is over.
Oh, well, where do we begin, really, guys? I think that means we've definitely finished 15th now, so we've avoided finishing literally in the bottom place.
42 points for Manchester United. 11 wins, 9 draws, and a whopping 18 losses.
To going head-to-head with the reigning Champions League holders in pre-season, and not even blinking.
Michael Carrick couldn't really have done a lot more asked of him from the position when he came in to securing Champions League football right now. He has absolutely fulfilled every single task that was put in front of him.
A dressing room that looked like a crime scene 8 months ago. But now they are beating Atlético Madrid in Stockholm, drawing with PSG in Gothenburg like it's a training drill. Something is happening at Old Trafford. And I don't think people have fully clocked it yet.
Can Manchester United win the Premier League under Michael Carrick? Yes. Yeah, I think Manchester United will win the next years. They're going to be champion of Premier League. If Arsenal can be champion, Manchester United will definitely be champion.
For you as well?
Of course. Yeah, of course. If you come to Manchester United, you want to win titles, and the Premier League is one of them, so why not?
Let's start with the pre-season results, because understanding how the story unfolded from the very beginning is incredibly important. The drama began on July 18 in Helsinki, where Manchester United suffered a shocking 0-1 defeat to Wrexham, a team playing in the Championship.
Manchester United reached full-time with Wrexham. Brilliant game of football in both halves. And the full-time scoreline, Manchester United 0, Wrexham 1.
Was that just a competitive game you would have wanted and expected, Michael, today?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before the game, the boys we've been back to together kind of a week properly, 10 days or so, but and it was just about getting through today, to be honest, and looking for some positives, looking for some good things, and knowing that it wasn't going to be perfect, and that's only natural, for the first one. So I think the most important thing of the whole thing is that everyone came through it and in good shape.
This defeat immediately sent social media into a frenzy, with fans practically preparing the club's funeral while toxic debates began flooding every corner of the internet.
Manchester United lose 1-0 to Wrexham in their first pre-season game. There's people saying it's pre-season, it doesn't matter. They're completely wrong. You can't just say it's only pre-season when... And also, the second half is irrelevant. I mean, I wanted to watch Obi, I wanted to watch Thwaites. They didn't even get used. So it just shows you how far off they are in Carrick's mind if he won't even use them. So they're obviously way down the list. But the second half is a different thing. It's the first half that matters, because that's the first team against Wrexham's first team, or what's available of it. I think it does matter in that first half when you don't create a chance on goal. I think it does matter when you don't have a shot on goal.
However, the bigger picture was completely different, as Carrick was only experimenting with his lineup at the time, constantly rotating half of the squad, giving opportunity to new signings, and helping players who had just returned from the World Cup regain their match sharpness. Therefore, a defeat to Wrexham in the very first friendly clearly did not mean much, and what happened next proved that very clearly. The immediate turnaround in performance quickly wiped away all the doubts as United demolished Rosenborg 5-0 in convincing fashion in Trondheim, Norway, on July 24. This emphatic victory was where things started to get really interesting.
Brilliant. Lacey chops back onto his left foot, Shea Lacey. That's a really collected finish. Mass. Lovely pass to find Xerxes. Xerxes with a great touch. Joshua Xerxes with a wonderful piece of skill. They are relentless, ruthless, energetic. They work as a team. They close down, they press. They can put a decent set piece into the penalty area. And Jacob Devaney proved himself again today. It's a good cross towards the back post. Brilliant stretching finish. And Harry Amas converts for Manchester United to make it 4. Camerson drives into the box. Good from Jaden Camerson. Squeezes it across. It's 5.
The most notable detail came from the impressive statistics United recorded last season under Carrick, when the Red Devils ranked third in the Premier League for fast counter-attacks per game with 1.33, while also ranking joint first for goals from counter-attacks per 90 minutes with 0.4 goals. In Trondheim, those transitional patterns immediately began functioning smoothly again, with rapid ball circulation through the lines, explosive movement down both wings, and midfielders making late runs to shoot from the second line. Among them, the standout name that needs to be mentioned is young talent Shea Lacey, as he opened the scoring with a beautiful finish, kicking off the impressive run of form that we will continue to break down right after this.
I think it was a really significant indication of what Michael Carrick and the club more broadly thinks of Shea Lacey and his ability. The fact that he was starting amongst the more kind of senior options rather than being one to come off the bench in the second half. He's viewed as one of the closest players to being ready for the first team. That's evidenced by him starting. He didn't have a ton of involvement on the ball, I'd say, in the game against Rosenborg, but when he got it, he was positive, and obviously that goal in the 31st minute was hugely significant. I think it kind of swayed the momentum of the game, and the goal itself, I'd say, was kind of textbook for him. It was exactly what we've seen so many times from him in the academy. It's why he's so effective. It shows the kind of confidence that he's playing with to take that kind of opportunity and to bury it. Shows his quality. He's got so much variety to his game, so many kind of tools in his locker that make him hard to defend, and I think the club view him as kind of ready now to contribute and ready to play a role next season.
The excitement surrounding the young talents was put to an even higher level test when United faced Atlético Madrid in the Snapdragon Cup on August 1 in Stockholm. This was the real test, as Atlético had reached the Champions League semi-finals last season, finished fourth in La Liga, and were led by veteran manager Diego Simeone.
Short corner. Now Ortiz lifts it in. It's a brilliant flicked header. And Atletico Madrid hit the front.
Despite falling behind in the 5th minute after a dangerous cross from Arnau Ortiz, Carrick's men remained remarkably composed, refusing to panic or resort to hopeful long balls, instead patiently building from the back in accordance with their philosophy. That persistence in building up eventually paid off in the second half, when Shea Lacey once again made his mark, by making a run into the penalty area that won a penalty, allowing Mbumo to calmly equalise at 1-1.
Second, it opens up for him. Shea Lacey with a lovely bit of dancing feet wins the penalty for Manchester United. Up and running here with the left-footed effort. Up he steps and strikes it home, and Brian Mbumo gives Manchester United the equalising goal.
In the 74th minute, Jack Fletcher made a powerful burst down toward the byline before delivering a perfect low cross for Mbumo to tap in from close range, completing a convincing 2-1 comeback.
Won back by Manchester United. Fletcher pulled back to Mbumo! And Manchester United lead.
This victory not only helped United lift the Snapdragon Cup against a formidable opponent, but also extended their excellent run of form to 2 consecutive wins. Alongside the team's impressive performances, outstanding individual displays also left a huge mark, especially when Lenny Yoro delivered an impressive performance despite having to play at right back. Even while playing out of position, the player still recorded 3 chances created, 7 ball recoveries, and 3 interceptions. Numbers that would make many natural defenders envious.
Yeah, first I still a centre back. I'm just here because we got Jogo and Mazraoui. They're not coming yet, so yeah, if I can play both positions, I enjoy playing on the pitch anyway, whatever the post. So if I can do good games here, it's fine for me. But yeah, still centre back, and I'm still enjoying as well playing right back, so it's good, yeah.
The excitement surrounding the match reached its peak in the 82nd minute, with a historic moment when Joseph Gabriel made his debut at just 15 years and 299 days old, officially becoming the youngest player in Manchester United history to make his first team debut, and immediately recording 2 touches inside the opposition penalty area in just 8 minutes on the pitch.
Say is there's a lot, Katie, there's a lot of these kids at this age that show tremendous promise, and for whatever reason, it doesn't quite materialise into them becoming regulars in the first team. And I think, there are a lot of brilliant young footballers that get lost to the game between the ages of 15 and 18.
Like Chelsea.
From some people that work at Manchester United, who I know, some of my old teammates actually work there. They have told me that this kid is the real deal.
Beyond those individual bright spots, United's growing maturity and composure were further tested on August 8 in Gothenburg when they held PSG to a 1-1 draw. While technically only a draw, this was still an extremely valuable performance because their opponents were the reigning Champions League winners for 2 consecutive seasons under Luis Enrique.
1-1 against PSG, I'll take it because listen, not every team could draw against PSG. Liverpool can't do it. They can't even score a goal. I mean, Chelsea can't. They can't score a goal either. Spurs can't even beat them. I don't know why I'm mentioning relegation battle team. I don't know why. Let's go to a bigger team. Bayern Munich can't do it. The German Giants. But the only team that was able to get a draw against PSG was Arsenal. Even though we all knew they would not win the Champions League, they lost the penalties. You're telling me that the team that has currently the highest chance to win the Premier League, 37% according to Polymarket, we get the exact same result against PSG?
Although PSG took the lead in the second minute through a clinical finish from Ibrahimovic, United maintained their structure and played with great patience. The turning point came from a brilliant performance by Amad Diallo, who contributed 1 assist, completed 94% of his passes, made 4 ball recoveries, and recorded 3 touches inside the opposition penalty area in just 65 minutes on the pitch. That delicate assist found Brian Mbeumo, who cut inside from the right before firing a dangerous shot into the bottom corner, making it 1-1 and bringing the game back to square one. The match also marked Bruno Fernandes' first pre-season minutes, as well as the debut of new signing Youri Tielemans, completing the final important pieces of the Red Devils' core.
Tielemans in particular, classy. He's just classy, isn't he? And he looks right in the United shirt. Some players, you sign him straight away, it fits. And it fits with him. And he gets the ball and he looks up and he wants to do something good. I think his numbers in terms of forward passes per 90 are some of the strongest in the league. Like all these things that you want. But he's not someone that brings chaos. Even though he's someone that wants to get the ball forward all the time, he settles the game down, he helps things tick over, he builds momentum and he builds sort of progress in a way that doesn't feel like it's rushed or forced. He's going to be a really, really, really important player for United next season.
The arrival of these pieces further highlighted the remarkable revival Michael Carrick is building, a truly compelling story that still seems to be going underappreciated. Going back to January 26, Ruben Amorim was sacked when Man United hit rock bottom with a win rate of just 31.9%, the worst figure for a permanent manager in the club's history. The team was constantly conceding goals, running out of energy, and playing a completely disastrous style of football. Yet as soon as Carrick took over, everything changed within just 3 weeks as he led the Red Devils to a stunning 2-0 victory over Manchester City at the Etihad in his first match in charge. That explosive debut became the catalyst for a spectacular breakthrough as United finished the season with 12 wins, 3 draws, and just 2 defeats. This result not only saw the Red Devils finish third in the Premier League, but also officially reclaim a Champions League spot for the first time since the 2023-24 season.
I think Michael's himself's done a tremendous job. I don't think anyone going in there thought he'd do the job that he'd done.
We want to get that feeling back at Man United that we are a great team. It's not about individuals, and I think that's what we want. We want that spirit back, and I think Michael Carrick brought that.
I think when you have that calmness on the pitch, that smartness, and the way he was playing and everything, you could see that could be a potential manager, and then he's showing that.
Michael Carrick is an excellent manager if you look at what he's done so far.
That impressive run of form was absolutely not down to luck or some random fluke. And here are the core reasons behind this miraculous turnaround. The core foundation of that comeback was the incredibly clear tactical identity Carrick brought to the team. Instead of maintaining Amorim's chaotic and unreliable 3-4-3 system, Carrick pressed the reset button by switching to a 4-3-2, 1 or 4-2-3, one with a flat back four, maximising the pace on both wings and focusing on rapid transitions from defence to attack. He built the system around exploiting the space behind the opposition's high defensive line by feeding Mbeumo and Dorgu in the wide channels, while using Bruno Fernandes and Matheus Cunha as creative links between the lines. Thanks to this clearly defined philosophy, the Red Devils climbed to third in the Premier League for fast counter-attacks per game and ranked joint first in the league for goals from counter-attacks per 90 minutes. Numbers that demonstrate a well-structured system from a strategist who fully understands the abilities of his players.
As we know, Carrick is doing very well. C, he calms things down.
Oh, very nice.
Very important. Do you remember how noisy it was before?
It was.
Yes. A, he applied logic. 4-2-3-1. Put Bruno Fernandes near the striker. That's what you do. R, he recognised their strengths. 4-2-3-1, play Bruno Fernandes near the striker. Let him create. Get set pieces, have things organised, make them confident. That's what your strengths are. R, release the Bruno Fernandes, really important. I, integrated new ideas. This is what he will do. I don't think this is what Carrick's team is meant to be like. He's adapted them, just like the Arteta system, and I think he'll integrate new things over the summer, depending on the players he gets in, because your tactics will depend on the players that you have. You play in a certain way because you have Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo. C, capitalise on the momentum. This is Manchester United Football Club. Once you start winning, you keep winning. And that's what you do, and you drive it that way because the Michael Carrick system really revolves around keep on trucking. And eventually you will get back to the top of the success tree.
That tactical sharpness becomes even more frightening for the rest of the Premier League, as reports from Carrington indicate that Carrick is looking to take this system to an entirely new level. He has reportedly told his players that next season, United will not only rely on counter-attacks, but will also aim to actively control possession, impose their style of play, and break down deep-lying defences. Having a squad that can both punish opponents with speed on the counter and remain patient enough to control games will create a completely different level of problem for every opponent. That tactical versatility has been strongly backed in the transfer market, as United's transformation has not only come from the tactical board, but also from the quality of the players brought in to bring that philosophy to life. Despite going through the turbulent Amorim era before Carrick took over, the Red Devils still managed to spend more than £225 million to upgrade their attacking firepower. Among them, Matheus Cunha arrived from Wolves for £62.5 million and showcased intelligent movement along with relentless pressing, contributing 10 goals in 33 Premier League appearances and truly exploding in the second half of the season under Carrick. Alongside him, the £65-71 million deal for Brian Mbeumo from Brentford proved to be worth every penny, as a striker who had previously scored 20 Premier League goals still managed 11 goals in his debut season, while also scoring in all 3 consecutive pre-season friendlies. The final piece was Benjamin Sesko, signed from RB Leipzig for £73.7 million. With his 1.93 metre frame, blistering pace, and intelligent movement having already earned him 17 starts and revealed enormous potential. Despite a season heavily affected by chaos on the managerial bench, this trio still combined for an incredible 58 goals.
On a brutal counter-attack. If you took the names off them shirt and you put Rooney, Nani, Jason Park, Cristiano Ronaldo's heads on them players, you'd have thought that was them. It looked like a bit of a throwback. Do you know what I mean? It looked like a Martial, Lukaku, Rashford under Ollie at times on the counter. It looked devastating.
To sign Andre Santos from Chelsea, a physically strong central midfielder with an excellent ability to win the ball back and immediately trigger attacks, the midfield engine United have always been searching for. Alongside him, the arrival of Belgium captain Yuri Tielemans from Aston Villa for £35 million adds the ability to control the tempo and break through opposition defences. A transfer that left Villa fans absolutely furious, and that is perhaps the clearest measure of his quality. The arrival of these quality new signings paints an extremely promising picture for United's midfield next season, with Bruno Fernandes taking on the creative role, Tielemans controlling the tempo, and Santos sweeping up and winning the ball back. With this well-rounded midfield trio supplying Mbeumo, Cunha and Sesko up front, this is clearly no longer the image of a mid-table team, but a squad capable of competing on equal terms for a place in the top 4, or even targets beyond that. That ambition to reach the summit becomes even clearer as the bigger picture of Manchester United's new season gradually comes into focus. Returning to the Champions League for the first time since the 2023-24 season is a major turning point, because just 1 year ago they were still falling to a championship side in the early rounds of the League Cup, but now they are ready to step into the spotlight and compete in the most demanding competition in Europe. The pressure of European competition is completely within Carrick's calculations, as he is not entering the tournament blindly. The strategist understands the demands of competing at the highest level, and the entire summer-friendly schedule, from Atlético Madrid in Stockholm, PSG in Gothenburg to AC Milan in Wrocław, has been carefully designed to test and challenge the tactical system against Champions League calibre opponents. Alongside the experienced core, the emergence of young talents such as Shea Lacey, Jack Fletcher, and especially 15-year-old prodigy JJ Gabriel is reigniting the passion surrounding the academy that was once seen in the legendary class of '92. Now the question for United is no longer whether they can compete in the Champions League, but whether Carrick can elevate them from a team that has returned to the top 3 into genuine title contenders. A scenario that, after everything that has happened this summer, is no longer crazy at all.
On pre-season so far, My positives are, I didn't want Carrick to have the job, but I do back him because he's got the job. I'm very loyal to the Man United manager when they've got the job. I didn't like the way we played football last season. I think it was anti-football. I think it was counter-attacking. I think it was set-piece driven. I think it was boring, but it was effective. What we have done in pre-season is press high up the pitch. And I like that. It's good to watch. And we've scored goals from pressing high up the pitch. We scored today from pressing high up the pitch. We scored last week from pressing high up the pitch. So the positives are that we are trying to play a little bit differently. The interesting question is going to be, and we can't answer it, is whether we'll stick to this when the season starts or we'll go back to the way we played.
However, that rosy outlook still needs to be viewed with caution, as there are 3 major obstacles United must overcome before the season officially begins. First is the personnel issue surrounding Mason Mount, who, despite enjoying an extremely impressive run of pre-season games, was forced off early against PSG due to a minor injury. Although Carrick insisted that the concern had been eased after seeing Mount walking normally, the midfielder's injury history remains a constant concern for a key player in his plans.
Mason Mount is off after 20 minutes. He's injured. Again, the season hasn't started. Maybe it's good he got injured now in another pre-season game, so it can just remind us that we cannot, unfortunately, rely on him. He's been so fantastic this whole pre-season. It's made us feel like we don't need to get another midfielder because Mason Mount is a new signing. But here we go. Another game, another injury. Mason Mount, unfortunately, cannot be relied on. I'm tired.
Second, the defeat to Wrexham, despite being experimental in nature, still served as a warning sign for a defence that conceded as many as 50 goals last season. Even with Tielemans and Santos adding steel to the midfield, the reliability of the back four when pushing high up the pitch remains far from completely reassuring enough to compete at the highest level. Finally, the limitations of Carrick's counter-attacking style have already started to be figured out by Premier League opponents who sit deep defensively. Although Carrick wants to evolve the team toward proactive possession, changing the tactical approach during a season that requires them to compete in the Champions League, while simultaneously reshuffling the squad and integrating new signings, is an extremely complicated challenge. Nevertheless, this is not a reason to panic, but rather a basis for recognising that United have the ability to break through while still needing to overcome several challenges, and that journey toward the summit will officially begin in Dublin 2 days from now. It is precisely this vibrant resurgence that makes Manchester United genuinely interesting and worth watching again. Not in the sense of hoping they finish 8th instead of 15th, but as a team that has established a clear structure, possesses a defined coaching identity, boasts a sharp attack, and carries the fierce energy of a club returning to European competition. Taking over a wreckage in January, Michael Carrick did not choose a temporary firefighting solution, but calmly built an entirely new foundation. 12 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats, a 3rd place finish overall, and a return to the Champions League, followed by a pre-season in which they defeated Atlético Madrid and drew with PSG. The next challenges against AC Milan in Wrocław will be the most accurate measure of this new-look team, but based on what they have shown, the Premier League clearly has reason to be wary of the project taking shape at Carrington, because if Manchester United reach their full potential, the top 3 will no longer be the limit. They will truly be a major threat to every opponent. If you enjoy our video, don't forget to hit like to help this video reach to other football lovers, and hit the subscribe button to follow for more interesting videos about football stories. See you in the next video.